with that, we're live, although for some reason the geek has not joined us yet. Will eventually, I'm sure. And possibly Zaya. And I see we don't have Izzy. They wheeled away. They'll be back though. And here we have Joe coming to us in thumb form.
I'm not sure how great this will be. It's, using the cell phone data and whatnot.
It's a little bit choppy, but we can hear you at least. Are you at the Ren Fair?
I am. I'm going to try to find a spot to sit down because I had a pub crawl at 11.
And so you are a little bit happy. Oh, good. Look who joined us. I don't have to be on camera.
Oh, kitty.
So where's your axe?
I'm going to take my pistol out of my belt because I couldn't sit comfortably with it. Pirate symbol is stuck on my shirt. It's nice.
Ow, 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 ow. You play too hard.
Oh, hello.
Hi, kitty.
All right. Hey. You can't tell, but Sasha's thinking eugenicist thoughts right now, so I won't let him know what he's thinking.
No.
More active than usual, Sasha. Hi.
Hi.
You can't hear me.
Hey,
Probably not anyway.
No, because I'm wearing headphones. Yeah, it's rainy here, so he's not sitting in the windowsill because it's not warm. There we go.
So both your kitties are gingery?
No, I just have the one cat and a dog, and the dog is not a ginger.
Oh.
All right, so Joe's drunk at the Ren Fair. Ely has been working on their painting, and Zaya is wearing a cigarette T-shirt.
No, it's from my former employer, Lucky's Market.
Gotcha. I was thinking Lucky Strikes. And here's the
That
geek.
is a good idea. Being hydrated is a good plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, here's the geek because I was hoping for I didn't scroll down. I swear I thought that would it would pop up, but it just didn't for some reason. I know. Sorry about that. Weird technical difficulties this time around. But anyway, sorry for being late. Oh, everyone, welcome. And I also muted the tab, so I didn't know if you already did the spiel of welcome to the second Sunday of the month.
No, I just started talking to Joe about the Ren Fair.
Independence Day.
What? I'm sorry, I said we couldn't hear you. Actually, audio issues. Say that again.
I was asking, what did you guys do for Independence Day?
I was a communist.
Nothing.
Well, I had to go to work, but I watched Independence Day the night before.
It's okay movie, but also it's just
it's my favorite movie, honestly. I'm sorry.
But yeah, it's not a terrible movie. There's worse movies to be watching, but also it's just for me, it's just fuck the USA, fuck this country, and not just because of the recent SCOTUS decisions. It's just the inception of the country is the problem. That's where, especially with why they wanted to succeed and all that stuff. It wasn't for the good reasons that they say that they succeeded for.
Yeah, I don't really celebrate it as much as I guess I used to. I used to buy fireworks and stuff for it, but I don't really do that much anymore. So what I do is I just watch Independence Day. I'll probably grill and just watch that movie and shit.
I also worked on Independence Day, so it's just I seriously had that much work to do. So yeah, even on a holiday like that, I come in and work on Independence Day. So how's everyone else?
By a wide margin, that's probably Emmerich's best film, though.
Yeah, exactly. Because
I'm gonna write two tie-in movies about it. Okay, so the first one is about the house that Will Smith and Vivica Fox lived in the movie. That's actually a real place.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
and I'm thinking about writing I guess like a TV movie about me being in that house for like an Airbnb and like geeking out with all the Independence Day stuff and references they do. So I'm thinking about writing a movie about that. And I'm also thinking about writing a movie called Roland and Me, in which like an autistic person who's very good with like miniatures and works on Independence Day, like works on like building the sets and things. So
You should do a diorama version of Independence Day with miniatures and do a stop motion sort of claymation thing version of the film.
Oh my goodness!
Am I weird? Am I weird for people? I'm sorry.
Why be sorry for being weird?
Yes, you're weird. That's awesome. We love you.
Because I just told you guys like two like scripts I wanted to write.
Hey, I want to write a Superman movie where he and Lex Luthor are stuck on an alien planet, and it's an enemy mine kind of thing. And Superman rescues a little alien bird dog lizard thing.
Yeah. Honestly, I've been thinking I don't know why it came to me, but I've been thinking of this fan fiction where Bruce Wayne injures himself during training to be Batman, and then he still goes to see the Flying Graysons show and decides to, and they don't end up dying from their thing, and he decides to fund the superhero team, the Flying Graysons. I don't know why. Just one time, I don't even know what it was because I haven't seen any like Batman thing with the Flying Graysons in recently. I was like, you know, it'd be really fun if if Robin's family was a superhero team. They stop that one robbery and just get a hankering for it.
David Scott, the PowerPoint version of Independence Day. Yeah. So,
I don't know about I don't know why I like it so much.
Big explosions.
Well, yeah, it could also be that like
It's because you're a white girl from the '90s. We get it.
I mean, Bill Pullman's great. Will Smith is filled with
Jeff
charisma.
Goldblum.
The scenes with Brent Spiner just work. Jeff Goldblum is a lovable idiot. Like,
Jeff Goldblum is at his nerdy, sexy best.
Yes,
I think I like it because it's such an epic, grand scale of a movie. Because we've never really seen a movie like that before, and really haven't seen one since. I mean, if you count maybe,
and it does a really good job of focusing on the characters too. I mean,
yeah,
like a lot of those don't like fall apart because the characters aren't any good, but everyone is just putting in their best in that.
Well, yeah, but I don't really agree about the characters being all that bad because actually in this movie the character arcs are pretty well flushed out. It just took.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like they all work in that. Freaking I forget his name, but the lead of 2012, his character arc doesn't work at all.
Oh, John Cusack's the actor.
Yeah.
I would say as someone who actually likes 2012, I don't like it as much as I used to.
I found that movie incredibly predictable, start to finish.
Yeah.
It's like, like hell with the Sistine Chapel. Yes, there's going to be a crack running along the ceiling between the fingers of God and man. Oh, look at that. There's a crack running along the ceiling between the fingers of God and man. The girl I was seeing it with said, wait, have you seen this before? I was like, no, it's just very predictable.
I mean, probably I can predict a lot of those things too, since I saw his previous movie before that, The Day After Tomorrow, where again the final climax scene is like the characters all outrunning Super Cold. That's the monster of the movie.
There's also wolves in New York for some reason.
I have a friend who. It was her birthday right around when that movie came out, and she wanted to go see a movie for her birthday, and so she like invited all of the guests from her party to this movie. And we still give her shit that the movie she picked was The Day After Tomorrow.
I mean,
Nobody liked it, including her.
am
That
I
movie-
audible?
That movie
Yes, you
really,
are.
Oh, right. I
That movie
was just going to say about The Day After Tomorrow. It was actually based on what was at the time good science. There was a strong suspicion that the Gulf Stream would stop because of global climate change. And,
Basically, the belief was that the melting ice caps would change the salinity of the ocean and thus divert the Gulf Stream. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
but the problem with it was,
would
of
sink
course, that it wouldn't
deeper,
stop
right.
in a matter of days. You know, which was kind of the problem with the film.
It would take hundreds of years, yeah,
Right.
or dozens of years.
Yeah. I
Has anyone
still
even-
enjoy the
I
movie.
would
Has
say
anyone even,
I do like
this
Godzilla.
guy suggested the cold hurricane theory
Yeah.
that is presented in that movie?
Yeah.
I have never heard that talked about as a disaster scenario.
The one that freezes the entire royal family as they're being evacuated in helicopters.
I did enjoy that.
Scotland. It's absolutely. I'm just sat there thinking, well, that's a bit of wish fulfillment as far as I'm concerned.
I bet you also like King Ralph, starring John Goodman,
What do you guys think
because the entire royal family dies by electrocution.
Sounds
What do you
good
guys
to
think
me.
of Patriot?
So I've
Mel
seen
Gibson thing, it was stupid and bad.
Okay, good. I agree.
So is Mel Gibson. So
Mm.
Mel Gibson is very bad. Yeah.
just ask any Scots people about Braveheart.
Yeah.
That movie was very offensive to even British people because apparently the British never did even half the stuff they did in that movie.
No, they did not.
Well, they weren't brilliant, but I mean, there was the whole thing about Edward Longshanks salting the North so that it would be.
Yeah, that was a weird thing that happened in The Patriot. I don't understand why they made that decision.
It was like British blackface
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
Yank face.
Yeah.
I mean, Jason Isaacs is British, so I mean, that's not.
Yeah. I'm not going to admit to it.
So we want to thank our patrons, which does include it was Marty, Von Rack, Tim, Flora, the Fuck Boys, and of course like Joe and Ellie, who are joining us today. Joe, of course, from the Ren Fair, and Ellie from Denmark. How you doing, Ellie?
Fine.
You guys had a shooting the other day in Denmark.
Yes, we did, and
We had a shooting yesterday here in Greenville.
yeah. But
I mean,
Lauren
you can pretty
Boebert
much always
said,
say that, can't you?
Mm.
yeah, but Lauren Boebert said about our shooting. Oh, this is why strict gun laws doesn't work, and then they had a shooting the very same day in the United States. So,
Yeah.
and we had one shooting 7 years ago, and then the last sort of school shooting that was like in the 90s. So it's like.
And then like the Japanese prime minister got assassinated, the former one.
Yeah.
Mhm. But I mean, he was a piece of shit, so we don't really.
I mean, I
Yeah.
keep hoping that somebody will follow the example in the UK.
Stop doing a stochastic, Mithril.
Remember, Source Street Regulation 46A, no uncoded messages over open channels.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't the Boris Johnson getting out?
Yeah.
It just
I think
blows my
technically he
mind
hasn't
that
resigned
the
yet,
reporting
but-
is
No.
he was assassinated because the guy thought he wasn't far enough right.
Mhm.
Oh, but there was a wonderful thing. The guy who wrote Metal Gear Solid. No, Metal Gear.
The original Metal Gear.
And Death Stranding.
Okay, Hideo Kojima.
that's the
yeah.
same guy.
Thank
who did
you.
all of the Metal
Hideo
Gear
Kojima
games.
was on some site in Japan. He was accused of being the assassin.
No,
yeah,
Kojima would.
that makes sense. That is
It-
definitely something he would do. He's
Yeah.
he's well known for assassinating people in reality.
Hey, no, that would be his video games, honestly, or one of his characters would do that, but he wouldn't do it himself or something like that. Or maybe his character in a video game would actually like be this like a video game auteur or something like that, but then secretly plan to like kill the former prime minister as well.
Yeah, no, Young Ye did a story about it. Apparently, he's going to sue the people who published this thing. So
Yeah,
that was
fair.
quite.
Yeah,
that was
the
quite
attempt
good fun.
would have been way more convoluted if Kojima had done it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and it would have taken 33 days to do.
Yes, exactly. And so many monologues. Everyone has their own monologue. It's just like, shut up for once. God.
Would have genetically engineered a virus that would have just gotten former prime ministers.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'd buy it.
And to be honest, I still have not played any one of the Metal Gear Solid games, except for like the first one, just briefly, like in a demo or something like that. So
I played Phantom Pain. It's okay.
I honestly don't like gameplay wise. I honestly find them to be just okay.
Yeah, exactly. Not surprising from what I heard. I mean, if you like his stealth games, then yeah.
And the story is batshit, so it's a real weird. You know what though? Death Stranding was, I wouldn't say fun, but it's definitely a really good podcast game. You can just do it and enjoy yourself while like turning your brain off and enjoying other things. It's very like relaxing to do in the background.
Oh, woo.
Hey.
It's a woof.
Oh, well.
Uh,
Remember about Death Stranding is it got
Hey,
the
Tabby.
Ace community a little bit upset. For a little while.
oh.
And then we forgot about it.
I think everyone did.
Yeah, it's Hideo Kojima just like threw all of his friends in there just because like Conan O'Brien is in there. It's just like
Yeah. Do you remember what I'm talking about, Jonathan?
What?
The thing that the Ace community noticed in that game.
Nope.
No, I don't remember us.
It was like I think it was just like some random like journal entry on a computer you could find somewhere or something where I forget what kind of character it was, made a comment of, oh, even before all this stuff happened, people were all separating, or young people were no longer interacting with each other because they were embracing the asexual lifestyle. I like socializing. Also,
hi, Ace.
So
Yeah.
here in Tallahassee, we had like a meeting about the whole about transgender affirmation surgery, and these dudes and these
oh, God.
I guess they were motorcycle jackets with patches on them showed up, and I guess they offered their opinion, and I'm like, why? I think if you have a jacket like that with patches, I don't think you get to discuss gender reaffirming surgery. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. All white?
Yes, these were old white. These were like Vietnam vet looking people.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Can someone explain to me why that's a thing?
Biker.
I cannot explain they're justified white people to you. No.
I'd have to look up biker gang history.
The hilarious thing about all that stuff is, and I've come across it because I love my bikes and stuff.
You're allowed to own motorcycles like that in England?
Yeah.
I think they would be heavily regulated.
Not dressed like that, perhaps. But they all claim to be deeply into individualism and all the rest of it. Yeah, why do they all dress the fucking same then? And act the same and behave the same.
You are all individuals. Yes, we are all.
I'm laughing because my cousin is a biker. Like,
But Denmark's so small. Where's there to bike to?
No,
to an amusement park called Bakken.
they all ride. They they ride bicycles, not motorcycles.
No. It is bicycle. It is motorbikes. And the 90s there were like big wars between rivaling gangs of bikers in Denmark.
I was gonna joke that they biked on the Autobahn, but then I realized Denmark is definitely not. Yeah.
Germany.
That joke would have been a very big failure of geography.
Yeah,
The Autobahn's in Germany.
yeah, but we have just that connect the three main islands, so you can definitely bike a good long way.
They race snowmobiles in Greenland, since that's also Danish.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a colony, so I think they would get sad. Yeah.
I saw the new Thor movie yesterday.
I saw it on Thursday. Yeah, it was good. Not phenomenal, but good.
Okay.
I also enjoyed it.
I just find white guys with long hair who look like Chris Hemsworth is incredibly handsome.
So you like Chris Hemsworth then?
Well, I've got 2 out of 3 there.
I think you're
A
not
white
alone
guy
in
with
that.
long hair, yeah.
I'm white
Not
with
even
long
into
hair
guys,
too.
but that's a pretty man.
I sure as hell don't look like Chris Hemsworth.
I am a brunette though, so not blonde. So I can't do the beard though.
I'm more grey than blonde nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I think it was the way that it was paced, because there was a plot point in there that I saw coming a mile away, but at the same time I still felt myself being like, no, don't do it.
I really liked that climactic fight scene with all the kids.
Yeah,
The little girl shooting lightning out of her bunny rabbit's eyes.
I didn't know there were so many black people from Scandinavia.
That was a thing that angry white dudes complained about, starting from the very
It's
first
a whole
movie.
planet. It's not just because. Actually, do they ever say where New Asgard is?
It's in Norway.
Did New Asgard end up being in Scandinavia, or is it
Somewhere in Norway.
They never specify exactly where, but they did make it Norway.
It's kind of like Sokovia, right?
or
some
Wakanda?
Eastern European.
Just in a place, or one would imagine very soon. Crap! Where is Doctor Doom?
Latvia.
Latveria.
Latveria. That's it.
They have like a bunch of made-up countries in Marvel.
They
Of
do.
course, yeah.
A bunch of made up.
Like Kurak is their Middle Eastern place full of terrorists.
Which is weird because DC has a bunch of made up cities, but as far as I know, they don't really have made up countries.
Correct. They use real countries. And fake
They
cities.
have real countries, but not real cities. And Marvel has real cities, but fake countries.
DC, or at least in some of the TV shows, do use fake countries. Like in Young Justice, there's like malaria, North and South malaria that he used. Bealia.
Oh yeah, there are a couple of fake. I mean, and Atlantis, which
and Atlantis, yes.
My girlfriend's been telling me a lot of good things about Young Justice, but I haven't gotten around to watching it.
I definitely recommend it. The first 2 seasons are pretty good. Second season,
yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. I don't know if I'd suggest it well enough to like pay to pick up the DVDs. Although some people
And
might
you
agree
definitely
with
should
that,
not go
but
to places like WatchMovie.tv or ActVids to watch it.
I have no idea about those things. I know nothing at all.
It's definitely not worth the trouble one might get into if for some reason they were caught doing illegal things like going to.
I don't know why I was just randomly singing a pirate shanty.
You wouldn't download a car, would you?
Is okay, but what about computer?
Because
But would you download more RAM?
So Geek,
Yeah.
when I on not late seating, but on Steve's Askaway, I made a post about I guess mass shooters and loneliness and whatnot.
Yes.
And you connected capitalism with loneliness, which is interesting because I agree with you on that because when George Floyd got killed, Ice Cube, the rapper Ice Cube, went on CNN and told Chris Como that if you don't have a lot of money, people don't care about you.
Yep.
Okay. Now fast forward to what happened at the Top supermarket, and you had like local rappers from Buffalo coming on MSNBC and saying basically the same thing, that people only care about money and respect. And I'm like, I'm a poor autistic Black person. I guess no one cares about me. I mean, you guys do, but so
well,
Powers that be don't.
Yes, exactly. The powers that be that don't, and the people that control the levers of power don't. So it's like, they only care if they care about you. They only care about you if you're voting for them, essentially. And the Republicans don't want to actively harm you. And well, the Democrats care about you if you vote for them, but don't care about you if you don't vote for them. As where it's either treatment of like people who are vote for third party or something like that. But the Democrats really care about you if you're a white person that could possibly vote for them instead of Republicans. It's kind of like a mathematics thing where it's like take one vote away from the Republicans and give it to the Democrats, and hey, we're up by 2 votes essentially, which is why their whole triangulation and trying to like get more white moderates to like vote for them and win those over, as well as like that.
Moderate.
Yeah, moderates.
I think you're being too hard on them. They're liberals. They probably assume that any 3 votes from Black people are going to cost them 5 votes from white people.
I see what you did there.
Ouch. I did too.
It sounds rather like the Labour Party in this country, who are desperately. Oh, we've got to. The important voters are the wavering conservative voters, the ones who may not vote conservative every time.
Because we're not going to worry about the left, because who are they going to vote for anyway?
Yeah,
they got nowhere to
exactly.
go.
Yeah,
They just
exactly.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to bring you.
It's so weird because so many of the polls actually like point to that if for some reason you could reach out and actually provide and actually get just non-voters on the left to vote, that you just wouldn't have to worry about catering to the other side.
Yeah. Look at issues like getting I mean, they always label it Medicare for all, but a single payer healthcare system is enormously popular.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like almost all of them are over 60%.
Yeah, same with abortion and gun control and everything.
If you could even get you wouldn't even need 100%. You get like 80 or 90% of that vote. You just wouldn't have to bother with it. No, I think it's almost too generous to go it that way. I think it's all about securing funding for the greater organization.
Well, it's also a thing. I mean, I think I've said it before on this channel, but the right creates incredibly powerful mythologies, like Reagan's welfare queens, which is
the
still
far
a thing.
Right. They're the far right, not the right.
Yeah. But the left think we all sit there going, yeah, but we've got facts and figures, and that doesn't resonate. People aren't bloody interested in that. They need powerful stories that we can tell them. And when you consider the number of creative people who are actually on the left, it's ridiculous. We should be able to do this.
Robert Evans is word who has some controversy. I need to research fully to see what's that's about. It said that you can give the stats and the statistics, all those sort of things against police brutality, but that's why he had those stats available for when he was covering those kind of things behind the police, but then also get anecdotal stories about but in this instance, this is how horrible the police are, which is why in behind.
Careful, Joe. I think that guy was peeing on that tree behind you.
But Robert Evans would talk about the move bombing in Philadelphia, and that's an example of this is how the police would respond to have to evict troublesome neighbors, as it were. They drop a bomb on the neighborhood.
Yep.
I mean, granted, they were very troublesome neighbors.
Yes,
but they wouldn't have done that if they were black.
It's what I would call the Christy Winters view of how to win elections by facts, waves sheets of statistics at people. That doesn't invigorate people. It doesn't give people that passion to go and fight for these damn things, or even to go out and bloody well vote for them, does it?
Well, also it's just it's just my criticisms for the Comrade also has this criticism for the academic view of political science as well, just professional liberalism, because listening to Christy Winters, it's you're just going off of the statistics and stats, and just asking people these questions, so you're not interested in trying to sway those people to be in favor of the progressive things, as it were. You're just holding the windsock and see where it blows, and it's just it's an interesting view, but kind of lost interest when it's just it all cares about is surveys, and essentially, and I'm just I want to.
If I know enough about what people think, then I can control the world.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, that is the principle behind big data. So.
Yeah. But the world and the world as we know it, especially nowadays, is created on big stories, on powerful mythologies. And it always has been. It always has been. And
we went to war over an ear. Or maybe that was the British.
Yeah,
the
probably.
war of Jenkins'
Something
ear.
loud is likely going to be
the war
happening
of
here, so I'm going to
Jenkins'
be start
ear,
moving.
Okay.
The trick would be, though, what kind of mythologies would you create? Because there's large blocks of people, and by people I mean primarily white, able people with money, that you tell them stories about autistic people being abused in psychiatric industries. They don't care because it's not that. You tell them stories about trans people being violently attacked. They don't care. It's not them. If they're a guy, or if they're a white woman who decides, well, I'm not going to ever need an abortion, so it doesn't affect me, and you tell them about all the horror stories about affecting basically anybody who can give birth by banning abortion, the disproportionate racial impact, etc. They don't care, because it's that thing of I've run into any kind of time you run into a conversation with a lot of white people with money. They keep coming back to, oh well, that's very sad, but I only care about not paying as much taxes. They don't a lot. There's this whole block. They don't even care about the Republicans' aggressive white supremacy technology, and they don't want to be told that they should feel bad about voting for that. They only want to feel good about voting for lower taxes for themselves.
I think what you maybe start with, because it worked in 1945 in the UK for sure. You said, okay, everybody's going to pay a little bit more tax, but at the same time, there is going to be a universality of certain benefits. The welfare state is going to be there, though, so that if you do have problems, we can step in and help you. We start creating that story. It's the antithesis. You say, okay, yeah, there's the odd trans person that causes problems, but there are so many trans people who do magnificent, amazing, really interesting, fascinating stuff. There are scientists, there are engineers, and you keep on with this sort of stuff. There are amazing black people out there who do all this stuff. You complain about Eastern Europeans in the UK, but bloody hell, don't you enjoy a kebab? I mean, even something as stupid and as simple as that, you know, you just keep going with this sort of stuff. And you will wear people down eventually. And it will get. I know.
I've had so many of those conversations like that where even when I see people point out the good things, and like that's been a tactic for many years, there's like that barrier of a lack of human empathy to smash down. And they don't want to admit that whiteness creates a world full of people who lack human empathy.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing too. Apart that they're like they not only do they not even want to feel bad. Ian Dyskin kind of pointed this out in like a why you're so angry and why those things. It's like they never want to like question those things. And like meeting a vegan, you offer them a sandwich with a ham in it, and they say no thanks, I'm vegan. Or you're at a party, you offer someone a beer after you had many, and the person said no thanks, I don't drink. And you never questioned about eating meat because you're always like served whatever their parents give them. You never questioned about like drinking because that's what everyone else does. You never even question your religious affiliation because it just like went to church or something like your parents did. Still someone that's there that consciously made the choice of like to be vegetarian and vegan or not drink or something like that. You become the question, is there something wrong with me and I'm a good person? It's more complicated to say, no, I'm not. Yes, I am, but the others people can like have other things. It's much easier to try to reject that person. Hence why some of that backlash against like Anish Sarkeesian, because the gamers TM don't want to think about like the sexism and misogyny in their video games. They just want to play the shooty bang bangs video games with that happen to have like sexually clad women as well, and don't want to think about those consequences. So that's another.
I gotta leave at 240, but I mean 250. Excuse me.
Sure.
But I definitely like see a lot of like quote unquote white liberals who like probably like they may like they'll support BLM, but how many black friends do they have?
Because of like where they are and what they grew up in, and it's just like I grew up in a very like white suburban and place as it were. So like in schools it was a bit more diverse, but like here's another good test. When's the first time that you had like a teacher that's a person of color of some kind? Second grade. Hey, Joey, the indigenous no College. Problem for being. Yeah, it's like I had to like think. Okay, yeah, second grade. The woman was Chinese, but then it's like not until like middle school, 7th or 8th grade, social studies, and then it's like one other teacher in high school. And so it's like on like one hand, how many teachers I had, educators I had in my upbringing that were not white. So that can just definitely add to that sort of thing. And I think it's like maybe it's not like an exception just in America, but like it's definitely a bit more pronounced in America. The rugged individualists, as it were. I only care about myself. I probably mentioned this before, but like when someone asked me at work, Jonathan, how I'm doing, I'm saying not great, because something that Phoenix said that day, something like that, how they're struggling as it were, and I wish I could get them more money, and we're just relaying this to like this coworker who told me that, hey, Jonathan, you should listen to Joe Rogan, and I said, because in the previous conversation he said that's her problem. I did not say anything else because I so wanted to just like not yell at him, but just say, okay, here's my problem with that statement, as it were, and go on.
Jonathan,
yes,
you know how much I like to promote, Starfleet Regulation 46A. I am very tempted to break that regulation right now just for that guy.
Yeah.
I kind of hope that Joe Rogan falls from the Empire State Building onto a bicycle with no seat.
In
Oh,
Minecraft.
he missed his real chance to do actual good, which would have been to have passed of the coronavirus back when he got it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Think of just how much good it would have done for such a public figure who was against people getting the vaccine to have
Died of corona. Yeah.
Well, there was already Herman Cain that did that, but he
There were
doesn't
a
have.
few, yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't have the reaches like Joe Rogan, and he was already amongst the far right fascists.
Also, he was brown, so they didn't care.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
yeah.
So, Mitchell, what is the status on the UK? How the politics going on in there? Because a lot has happened recently. The vote of no confidence of like a Boris that he barely got, he barely like stayed in place. But now all these regulations, the resignations that like happened recently amongst his cabinet as well.
It was astonishing. He scraped through the vote with no confidence. And about a week.
Yeah, that happened really fast. Like there was a thing, like he won that, I mean, barely, but, and then all of a sudden, like, dominoes started falling.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was started by Rishi Sunak and Sajid Javid, who one was the Chancellor of the Exchequer, which is basically the financial head of the country, and I can't remember what Sajid Javid did, but it was somewhat. He's the one who looks and sounds a bit like Dobby the house elf, I'm afraid.
I like
so
the looks and
they
addition to that.
They resigned first, and then in the following 24 hours. Somewhere in the region of 50 ministers resigned.
Good Lord.
Now, a lot of these were not particularly high level, you know, the ministers.
Are they what you would call backbenchers?
No, there's a difference. Backbenchers don't hold any ministerial positions, but there were people like the Minister for Libraries or whatever, you know, something really down at the bottom of the political pile, pretty much. And
so Jeff, the Minister of Biscuits, has left?
Yeah. So on Thursday, God, I'm so confused about days, right? I think it was Thursday, Johnson gave this half-assed speech claiming that he'd done all these wonderful things, but the will of the Conservative Party is now clearly against me, so I will be standing. And he never actually mentioned the word resignation. He didn't say he was resigning. There was no mention of the word resigning. There was just this sort of vainglorious boast, lying about all the wonderful things that he claims he's done but hasn't done and has been disproved more times than you care to count.
A far right-wing piece of shit line? I am shocked.
Yeah, who would have thought it? But my concern is that because he never actually said I'm resigning, he said he's gonna stay on till October, which means we have a party conference season, which is, I suppose, similar to the CPAC thing. So what he's trying to do is have one last glorious huzzah at the Conservative Party conference, I think, and maybe they'll all go, oh, he's not such a bad sort, really. And I mean, I'm sad to say there's a political program on the BBC on a Saturday afternoon where people ring in, and there were an awful lot of people ringing in going, well, I think he's been absolutely awfully treated and he should stay on, and he's been absolutely wonderful for this country of ours.
Well, you can hear that person puts butter in their tea.
Yeah. And they're also quite clearly mad, because when the presenter asked this woman about well, what about so? And you could hear the cogs grinding. I can't say it's because he's. I can't say it's because he's Asian. I can't say it's because he's black. Well, I've got to come up with something else now. But
Reminds me of what do you call it? Back between 16 and 20, like any time there was a speech where the president actually followed the teleprompter, there'd always be like a few, like, I don't know, just mid-grade liberals like, yeah, he's finally presidential today. It's like,
He can read.
Such a low bar.
On a mildly positive note, one of the people who has thrown their hat into the ring is a woman called Penny Mordaunt, who is a very, very long way from being ideal, but has in the past actually stood up for LGBT rights and in particular trans rights. However, the rest of them are going completely rollings on everybody. So
This is still Turf Island.
oh god, yeah, I'm afraid it is. And I just want to get the hell out of it. I've had enough. Yeah. So I'll go somewhere with a marginally less shitty government. I mean, I know that's hard pressed to find in the world nowadays.
Scotland?
Well,
It's
well, people in Sri Lanka just thrown their presidential palace, so.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
and the Sri Lankans people have forced their president out of power.
Oh.
Mhm. Yeah, they were there. I saw a picture of them, or maybe a video of them enjoying the swimming pool.
Because of the perception of that woman beforehand, she has just done incalculable damage to
Oh god, yeah.
the country.
Yeah. I mean, let's put it this way: none of the Conservative Party people who think they should be Prime Minister are any good whatsoever. They are all shitty, horrible people. But to quote Dr. Johnson, "'Tis the point of precedent, sir, between a flea and a louse." You know, there's very little in it.
What? I have no idea what that metaphor is supposed to suggest.
It's a distinction without a difference. A louse,
Yeah.
remember, lice. Lice is the plural of mouse. Like mice is the plural of mouse. Yeah. So they're both vermin that infest you and make you itch.
It just felt a little off. My brain doesn't always catch up. No, it. Sometimes my brain just does not catch up quickly.
Oh God! Right, hold on a minute. Phone's going. I'll speak to you shortly.
No problem. So that I did not.
I gotta run, guys, but I'll see you later.
Okay. Thanks for stopping by.
I do think Tavi's very attractive, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you, Isaiah. You are wonderful.
You're attracted too, Isaiah. Don't listen to anyone else that says otherwise.
I know I am.
That's the way to be about
it. Later. So Sri Lanka is like had a protest. I did not know about that.
What's the history there? That I don't know as much about.
I have to look it up because, like, well, I'm an American, so I only care about what happens in America. But like, no, it's just like I'm also busy, and I haven't heard this in like any of the news, and so
then there's chaos going on everywhere, and very frequently, if you study the history back far enough, it's either the U.S.'s fault or it's Great Britain's fault. Sometimes it's Spain or Portugal's fault.
Yes.
Sometimes France.
Yes, because definitely in like Africa, I know those places either France or Belgium. It's like most often France, but sometimes Belgium. Southeast Asia often is France too. It's like. And Germany is like, and Germany and Russia is like, we want in on this action too, and then World War I happened in a way.
We'll generalize it a bit more. Usually, it's the white European world's fault.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, yeah. There's large portions of Africa that have what do you call it? The Dutch to blame for a lot of their troubles.
Oh, the Dutch. Yeah. I mean, apartheid is a Dutch word, so there you go.
Afrikaners, they were called.
Yes, the Boers which was like, well, so it's like the Dutch people that like traveled to like South America and decided to say they're what they call the Boers or something like that, as opposed to like the indigenous population, as it were. And yet the white people got in control somehow. Well, of course, imperialism and white supremacy. So yeah,
A bit of genocide.
Oh yes, and a bit of genocide.
Just a little bit.
Let's not forget about the genocide.
You know, like the European colonizers' favorite pastime.
Yeah.
Next
Hey,
time,
we killed like half the
next time
Jews in the
Julie's on
world.
here,
I kind
need
of feel
to-
bad
I need
about
to
that.
find out
How
what
about we
the-
make it up to them by letting them do a genocide on the Palestinians? What do you say?
They're still doing that.
That is pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
Is happening.
What you said something, Joe? What you were saying?
Oh yeah, I was just saying the next time Julie's on, we should learn the French word for genocide, so we can be like petit and then that.
Pretty sure it's just genocide.
Probably.
Yeah. Julie is the like life has been happening to her, and so it's like I haven't heard anything.
No, I get it. There's nothing making her come on.
Le genocide.
It's just like anyone know if anyone's wondering where's Lito? Oh no, it's just like it's life is hard on her. So and Mehmet is like working right now, so that's why the other fuckboy cannot join us as well. But it's, in case anyone else doesn't know, I am unfortunately can no longer go recite the lines from Clerks as like Dante said, I'm 37 because I'm now 38. Oh, sorry, Tabby.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm still like Dennis, but I'm not 37 and 38. Hey, well, how could you call you? I could have called you Matt. You called me Dennis. Well, I didn't know you called this. We didn't bother to ask. Because I will still go on how we are all exploited in the system, how we're fooling yourself, we're living on a dictatorship, we're a narco-synthesis communist, and how we pass from this certain procedures that can be done by a simple majority, but for major procedures has to be done by 2/3 majority. And yeah, I'll stop there before I recite the rest of the scene.
Must be a king. And you got shit all over
it.
Strange
again-
women lying in ponds distributing swords. There's no basis for a system of government. If I went around saying I was an emperor just because some boys in love with a scimitar at me, they'd put me away.
Is 37 or 38 ancient? I guess depends on what circle of the internet you are on, as it were.
There are days it definitely feels like our current generation. It's like technologies we grew up with are all so dated that there are now teenagers that have no idea what the heck they are.
Mm-hmm.
What? Somebody 3D printed a save icon?
Yeah, like explaining what a cassette tape is and why it was so important to have those pencils that have like was it like a hexagon or an octagon shape?
Yeah, one of those two.
Could fix it if it got all torn.
Real quick, everybody, hold your hand up to your head like you're miming talking on the phone.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh yeah, that one where you're actually picking up the receiver.
So Zoomers, they don't do this, right?
Right.
They do this to indicate they're talking on the phone.
I've actually never had that cassette problem with a audio cassette. I've had a few video cassettes get eaten, but just by sheer weird happenstance, maybe because I wasn't that into music, I've never had an audio cassette eaten by a player.
I think I had that problem more often because my siblings and I had cassette tapes when we were kids, and kids are hard on cassette tapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
VHS tapes for sure, VCRs as it were. Because like the magnetic strip can like wonky in places over time and stuff like that.
Because every time you watch it or listen to it, it wears it out.
I mean, before we've got the official VHS cassettes of like the original Star Wars trilogy, just before the special edition got released, so we got that like set before. My parents, we had the VHS copy of Empire Strikes Back, but for like A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, they had to record it off the TV, and there's always like so when we watch that, there's always that like. The static on like the one frame that's like it's cutting from like the original programming and then back into like Star Wars because like we edited out the commercial breaks and all that stuff. And Star Wars and Return of the Jedi were on the same VHS tape and stuff like that. So if I wanted to watch Return of the Jedi, I had to fast forward through like Star Wars in order to get to Return of the Jedi. You can store 8 hours on a VHS tape on a super long VHS tape and so and that's how you can get like almost like a full half season of anime onto a VHS tape. But you gotta hope that you're not like 37 person with your VHS tape blank one to copy it over the anime at the VHS like tape parties, anime parties. And people who yeah, go ahead.
I had one of those dual DVD VHS players that came out while VHS was still technically a viable platform. And I'd say like when the tapes came out, the last version of the tapes before they ran the special editions, I had burned it over to 3 DVDs. So I have, and because they were like new tapes, it was like really good quality still. Like it's not DVD quality, but it's also doesn't have, you know,
Han shooting second.
Yeah.
Like that one, like that one kind of disappoints me from a like he seemed like a meaner, you know, just you know, it made his character arc have a more of a strength later, but that one doesn't really bother me. I don't know, just the weird street comedy scenes that just seem out of place in the first movie. Like why is this? Like this is just like 20 to 30 wasted seconds that kill the pacing.
Yeah, but I mean, those comedy beats worked so well in Attack of the Clones. I mean, or whatever the second episode was called.
That was Attack of the Clones. Yes. Okay. It was Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and then but don't forget the Clone Wars. There was also that Clone Wars movie, which most be like
movie and TV show, which was excellent.
Although I think as a kid I would have really liked the Han and Jabba scene that got cut out of the first movie because of, I don't know, pacing or lack of special effects funds. Because come the second movie, I was legit confused why anyone cared, why somebody was after, like that's a thing that I remember bothering me.
It was all we got of like that storyline is that like Han Solo had a lot of money to pay off, which is why he was like overcharging for services at 5,000. But then like Obi-Wan Kenobi says, no, it's fine. We give you 2,000 now, and you get 15,000 when the job's happened. You see Han's face like lit up. It's like 17,000. Okay then, and he said he had to line out so pay off my debt, and then he meets Greedo where they mentioned the debt as it were, and Greedo said, you could just give me the money, I'll give it to Jabba. I don't have the money now. This like Jabba is tired of waiting because Greedo was debt collecting essentially. Or like going in there as like a fixer, and we're just like nice establishment here. Because again, most actually spaceport, most wretched high is coming only. Didn't take that long to go into Star Wars talk either.
Never does.
We're a bunch of nerds.
Yes, we are a bunch of nerds. Pirate Joe being at the Ren Fair. Have you been enjoying it, by the way?
Oh yeah, exceedingly. This year is the first time new show put on. It's called Cirque du Sewer, and they have
Circus of the South.
essentially it's a animal trainer who also does some not tightrope work, but referred to as loose rope work. Essentially, it's like a tightrope except it's not tight.
Oh.
But
Ooh, that's
anyway,
interesting.
she does a show with rats and cats as well, and it is so good. And like every show is different because cats are not cooperative. like you can train them to do tricks. You just can't rely on them to do tricks when you tell them to.
Mhm.
Like they can learn. They just
Mhm.
can't be taught to behave.
Surface sewer? Yeah, I know. And later, Emily Chambers, thank you for dropping in, and thank you for providing the link to the Fluid Voices tonight. I might actually catch that.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
You're not sorry. Don't lie.
Okay, no, I'm not.
We weren't talking about anything important. We just like randomly go on to like Star Wars talk. And again, anyway, don't worry about the ramblings. We all ramble here too. Lord, I was born. Oh wait, I was about to sing and I'm not allowed to. Oh, a rambling man. Trying is. Oh, I forgot.
Lord, I was born a rambling man.
That was Fleetwood. Who was that? Who did that? I want to say Fleetwood Mac, but I don't think so.
No, it was not Fleetwood Mac.
Rambling Man.
It's the Allman Brothers.
Oh no.
Okay, the Allman Brothers. Yeah, I know it was on Rock Band 2, so it's just like I was trying to remember that sort of thing. I think Go Yo and Way was also on Rock Band 2, but it was also on Guitar Hero World Tour because there was a lot of crossover, honestly, in the playlist. So yes. So Mithral, anything else you want like say about like British politics and what's going on? Like what's going on like happen now? Honestly, would be the question as it were.
At the moment, I would say what he's got is a ghost cabinet, which is effectively a cabinet that he's appointed, but are going to be highly constrained because the Conservative Party as a whole has made it clear that they don't want Johnson to be making any new laws. However, there are laws that they will be able to push through because they were already on the books before this all happened, and some of them are kind of scummy, just for a change, you know. There's the Rwanda bill, which will allow them to ship people who come across the channel illegally to try and claim asylum are being given the same treatment that Australia gave to similar groups, except instead of shipping them out to Tuvalu, they are shipping them to Rwanda. And our lovely government, God, David, that's great. Our lovely government promised that if their asylum application was processed, they would be allowed back into the UK, and it turns out they actually lied, and they will be given asylum in Rwanda. And if they're fleeing any of these countries because of persecution, because they're LGBTQ people, the last place they probably want to end up is in Rwanda because it's got a fairly awful record on that sort of.
Yeah, it's almost like the U.S. evangelical community has inspired them to pass hate crime laws.
Yeah.
Not laws against hate crimes, laws that commit hate crimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a thing. That's something that makes you proud of being British if you're an insane psychopath. And there's a couple of other fairly scummy laws going through, but you know they're. I mean that's probably the most egregious one I think at the moment. Oh, and there's the bill which criminalize. Now this is wonderful. This criminalizes conversion therapy for LGB people, but not for trans people.
I'm gonna guess no talk about banning conversion therapy for autistic people either,
No.
Awesome.
otherwise known as ABA.
Yeah. So that's something. That's lovely. Not. Yeah, I mean, basically, we're a country run by a bunch of overprivileged fascist shitheads. And they see a lot. Sadly, there is a large part of the country that sees no reason to change this because they benefit immensely from it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the same with like this country too. It's just like and it's just like, and with all the SCOTUS decisions where it's just like, yeah, and then the question I'm wondering, which kind of just makes me wonder, but it's just like what the impact it would have will be question. How would the liberals actually will do to react to like the SCOTUS decisions? So far, it seems like no. Some of them have been out and protesting, so that's encouraging. Is where and more people are doing that. Then like yes, I want to see more of that because they have to like question themselves if like the whole institution as it were. I hope they would, but I mentioned something just be like, no, we gotta like protest this and then vote in the most progressive candidates as we can, so that we can eventually get the court to be more liberal with more liberal justices appointed, as it were. And it's just like, and he talks about like expanding the Supreme Court at least, or do other kind of power grabs.
Or how many chances have the Democrats had to legislate the right to abortion and they didn't use it?
At least two. At least two.
It's hard to be sure because they never actually brought it to a vote. It's hard to say whether there was enough to carry it, even when there were 60 Democrats, because there are a bunch of districts that Democrats would be hesitant to vote to enshrine that sort of thing into law.
You get a lot of Joe Mansions.
Yeah.
Or Joe's Mansion. Joe's Mansion.
And shoot, who was the Joe the last time they had a supermajority?
Joe Lieberman.
Lieberman, that's it.
Oh God, yeah.
Piece of shit.
Wasn't he somebody's VP at one time?
He was the VP candidate
under in 2004. Yeah. Under.
Oh God, yeah.
The boring
John
robot
Kerry.
guy.
Yeah.
I mostly remember Lieberman was
that's the problem with having such a
in the
common name.
Joe Lieberman was a conservative Democrat from Connecticut. Yeah.
Yeah. The problem with having such a common name, there's no point in history where there are not just ample shitty Joes.
Joe Stalin, Joe
Joe Montaigne. I mean,
Joe McCarthy.
All the
McCarthy's a real good choice on that.
So yeah, because and now it's just like in order to get anything passed in the Senate, you need 60 votes, and if like the Republicans to keep like at least 41 votes, as were, and all are in like a line, Thuggians, I should say, not Republicans, they're Thuggians, fascists, and they all are in line with their fascism and white supremacy, then yes, they can, and if the filibuster's still there, then they just like can have 41 and not get anything passed and block everything, and even if like, so like, the Seaside says that like I was kind of disappointed how like the Democrats now have like the Senate barely, and they now have the House and the executive branch. Why can't they just like do all these bunch of things at once? It's like, well, it's not that easy apparently. And Seaside said to me that we just got to vote for more to get like 60 Democratic senators into the Senate, and it's just like, okay, but like with Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema, and any other like Joes or any other like conservative like Democrats, the rotating Democratic Senate villain, as it were. I'm thinking, no, we need 75 Democrats to be in the Senate to get anything passed.
Because even if like back, I don't remember what it was, minimum wage, the $15 minimum wage, when that was going through,
Yeah.
there was reporting that there were 8 other Democrats who actually ended up voting for the bill that only voted for the bill because they knew that it wouldn't pass, thus they wouldn't upset their donors.
Yep. I've said it before. Jonathan's definitely heard me say this.
Mm-hmm.
The Democrats are a fucking protection racket.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
They go and they do this thing, which is like, hey, give us votes, give us money, and that way we can protect you from the scary Republicans. And then they take all that and they get themselves a little bit of power, and then they sit on it until people are like, oh, well, things aren't, changing, and people stop voting for them as much, and then the Republicans come back in, and then they do the whole same fucking thing again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, anytime to actually use their power and actually, play politics and actually grow the brand and diminish the voter suppression, that, like, every time they refuse to do that, it's almost as if they know that if for some reason the other party ate itself, that all of a sudden they would have to do things, then they would just lose all of their funding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is what they care about more.
Yep.
They care about the getting the money to continue to be politicians and be in positions of power, even though once they are in those positions of power, they do fuck all with it.
No, they're quite happy to help their donors.
I mean, it's such...
So long as what you suggest does not harm their donors, they'll push for things.
Thing is, helping the poor harms their donors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brown
It's
people
such
and
a-
queer
it-
people and all sorts of other people hurts their donors. Because their
It's
donors
such a
are capitalists.
weird electoral system. Yours. I mean, ours is a long way from perfect, but generally speaking, you end up with a clear-cut victory and a clear-cut mandate, whereas it almost seems as if the American system is engineered to not have neither a clear-cut victory or a clear-cut mandate for either side. So neither side can sit there and go, yeah, no problem. We've promised you we're going to do these things, and now here we are, we're doing.
Well, no, the American system is designed to keep wealthy oligarchs in power, and then they pretend to have two different sides.
I mean, our system's crap. We urgently need a replacement of first past the post. There's no two ways about it. But what you tend to end up with
Why not
is...
just choose people from the entire population at random? Replace a quarter of the legislature every 6 months.
Because I would only get there once. I would really only get there. Believe you me.
But David,
I'd probably be assassinated on my 3rd day, actually.
Yeah. But David, if we did that in the US, white people wouldn't have all the power anymore.
All right.
Yeah, it's me being simplistic, isn't it?
Oh wait, John, I was saying what John was saying. I can't do names properly these days. I don't know why.
It's yeah. I mean, the electoral college is a clear problem to everybody except the political class in America as well.
Not only that, like that's a problem for the presidency, but hell, even with the filibuster removed, the Senate is deeply undemocratic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, by design, it's intended to be undemocratic and to have the oligarchs in power.
Also, unfortunately, I had this conversation with other liberals as we're like talking about like just one aspect of this like system, it's like how we vote for president, the electoral college. Very undemocratic, and where it's just like your vote. Listen, if you vote and you're in battleground state, your vote is more important as it were. So it's like, okay, my vote in Washington State doesn't matter. Yeah, it's going to go to Biden anyway, or then Democrats anyway. And so it's like but when trying to like say, okay, then let's abolish the electoral college, and it's like, it's not that easy because it needs a constitutional amendment, and in order to get the constitutional amendment ratified, you need 38 states, and like each of those states have to pass those things, and then like the constitutional amendments, and it's just like, and the liberals have said it is too hard.
Oh Christ, that
There-
pathetic.
I can imagine a scenario where that happens, but that scenario involves Texas flipping. The moment Texas flips, all of a sudden, the electoral college will be abolished because then it starts working against the smaller states.
I mean, I keep hearing talk of Texas wanting to secede. Is there any sort of basis in this, or is it just?
Not really.
There's
No.
definitely people that want to do that, but the state in general is pretty much just stoking the secessionists in their base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they claim that because they were an independent nation before they joined, that means that they're allowed to do this and blah blah. It's never going to happen.
So is Vermont.
But I mean,
Yeah.
we settled that very definitively back in 1865.
Yeah.
There was a whole march to the sea about it.
I mean,
I mean,
the founding fathers
I-
even recognized that secession was a stupid thing that shouldn't be allowed because it would destroy the entire purpose of having the Constitution.
I mean, I watch American politics with a complete, real bafflement, real confusion sometimes. You know, I just sit there and I honestly do. I think, you know, I mean, I know we've got some idiots, but compared to Boebert or
Oh God, Bo.
or Trailer Queen or some of the other morons that you lot have.
They
God.
don't trip over the lowest of bars.
Yeah. It's honestly bemusing how these people were allowed any job more responsible than wiping a dog's backside, to be quite honest. But
Hey, I have a sister who works in a veterinary kennel, and that's really serious business. You don't want somebody as irresponsible as a politician in there.
no, yeah, it's I mean,
we in Denmark we've had enough of Lauren Boebert because she used what happened in Denmark to argue for looser gun regulations, which is just madness.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
mean, do you
Go
think the
Oh,
Sorry, Al, go on.
so now every Danish person knows who Lauren Boebert is, and we all hate her. Yeah.
And now it turns out that she used to be a sex worker, and that's how she met Ted Cruz, and now she's
God, yes.
in Congress.
God. Oh.
Boebert. Yeah, Boebert.
Oh wait, this is a different. We just switched to a different Boebert, didn't we?
No, Lauren Boebert.
She
Wait a minute, is the Lauren Boebert in the U.S. different from the Boebert Ellie was talking about in?
No,
Yes.
no, it's the same Boebert.
Well.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say discrimination against and stigmatization of sex workers is absolutely abominable, and sex workers should be allowed the freedom to move to whatever job they want to, should they choose. But also,
But she's a horrible person and a hypocrite.
But
fuck fascists.
Now, I gotta say that the sex worker thing is a rumor, not confirmed.
But on that, I will also say that the whole, because I know like what white liberal like Democrats will pull shit like that to be like, oh, but now the Republicans won't like them. I'm like, no, that's not okay. The demonize them for being fascists, not because somebody was like a sex worker or something. That's not okay.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It is like,
It always seems to be the way it goes, though. What's his face lost his primary, not because he was fascist, but because he had a couple of videos taken where he was overly friendly with his cousin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot who
What is
lost
his
that
name
primary.
again?
I
You know who
forgot.
I'm talking about, though, right?
I think
Matt
so.
Cawthorn.
Yeah, I think so.
Madison
I mean,
Cawthorn.
one question: can you ever, in the foreseeable future, see a time when the Republican Party moves back towards being a more moderate party?
No.
No,
No.
Or is it so firmly ensconced within their DNA now, this hard right, far right stuff, that they're never going to shift from that?
I don't think they can.
Um,
They are
it
too heavily
is-
identified with the white supremacist Christian nationalist movement.
Yeah, since like they were always like deep into the white supremacy since like the Barry Goldwater days.
Oh yeah, no, I know, but
Trump
it
took
was
the mask off. I don't think there's any going back.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
They're just
but
going to keep going further to the right.
But it's. I mean, it's not analogous, but the Conservative Party before Thatcher was much more moderate and had this sort of what they call it one party conservative, one nation Toryism, and they accepted things like the welfare state. They accepted things like universal health care. They accepted social housing on a massive scale. And then Thatcher came in. And I mean, a similar thing happened with Reagan, I think, but it was more. But what you're saying is in the back there was always this hardline stuff going on anyway.
I mean, it took a while for the white supremacists to really gain control of the party. Because, I mean, the Republicans, they had been the party of big business always, but they had also been the party of the factory workers, which, caused a lot of tension until the Democrats stole the working poor from them with the New Deal. And then Nixon reinvigorated the party by stealing the white supremacists from the Democrats.
Yeah.
But it took time for that to work its way down to the presidency, through the Senate, down into the Congress, and so on. But that happened in the mid-'90s, or by the mid-'90s, with Newt Gingrich's contract with America.
That was the
Oh
guy.
God, yeah.
the
Newt
only
Gingrich.
way I could see it is if there was enough support for actual workers' rights within the Democratic Party that the union movement actually swung back and swung towards the Democrats for a couple of really bad elections for the Republicans for them to change their tune.
Yeah.
I mean, you do have people like Liz Cheney, daughter of Dick Cheney, the moral monster Dick Cheney, and Mitt Romney and so on, who were the useful fools, the useful idiots for the Republicans, and that they bought into the lie of small government conservative shit. But I think what's going to happen is that the Republican, they're going to get primaried, and you're going to get they're going to end up joining the Democrats, because I mean they really are Democrats. The Democrats are them. I mean, there's not really
The Democrats are conservatives anyway.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so it's already been like in the 2020 elections, there was like one or two like Republicans that just like, or Republicans that just like, I lost faith in the Republican Party. I know I'm a Democrat, and something even admit is like, and I didn't have to like change my policy positions whatsoever to become a Democrat. Which kind of like it already gives the game away too.
Yeah.
If by some miracle the trends shift and 2022 looks like 2018, there's a chance the Republican Party might swing back towards the center.
I really don't think it's possible, though. I think the base is just too fucking
was
rabid.
kind of a bloodbath for them, so it's, I don't know. This is very optimistic.
I think 22 is going to look a lot more like 20. Because of
2010
overturning Roe v. Wade. You're going to get both sides coming out, I think, in pretty large numbers, with liberals being just furious and upset about the abortion stuff, and the fascists being pumped up and excited about it. So I think you're going to see bigger turnout than you would expect from a midterm election.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be,
and that's kind of the only thing that gives me hope, because big turnouts almost always focus but I still think it's optimistic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not going to be as many people as in 2020. I just think it's going to be bigger than normal for a midterm.
Yeah, that's always the case, because remember, it's just like for all other elections and not the presidential elections, there are some people in the United States that only vote for the president and nothing else. They don't vote for anything else, and our voter turnout is like low. Sometimes it's under 50% across the nation. That's not like just because of
even during president years, it tends to be under 50%.
It's
been a little different lately, just because the stakes are more pronounced, but
right. But it's a multiple reasons. There is the voter apathy thing for young people, and the leftists where they like Letrano says, why bother voting when she can at least vote for a communist, but the Trotskyist party in France, but they only get less than 1% of the votes, and they don't really affect things. This goes back to Alexander Buchman's chapter on socialism in chapter 15 of what is communist and anarchist in order to seize anarchists, and we're more or less just you got the one socialist in the Senate or in the Parliament, and they can get their speech every once in a while, but how they're going to affect things when they're the one socialist there, and they have to either vote with the rest of the liberals or vaguely leftist people that they can vote with the caucus, or have that one protest vote where they say no for something, but nothing really gets done.
Yeah. On that with apathy, I would just add, before the Biden election, I remember seeing this big outcry. This was mostly that I was seeing it on Twitter and such, big disability community outcry, hashtag Crip the vote and all that. Be hey, disabled people should get out and vote, and that'll change things. And Biden claimed to make all these promises for disabled people. He wrote all those promises out of his promises right before the election. And then after the election, what I started seeing, I haven't been on Twitter in a few months, but after the election, I started seeing a lot more disabled people who before were yeah, Crip the vote, where now we're maybe we should just withhold all our votes because they don't fucking care if we live or die anyway.
And
sad. That sort of thing's really difficult. It's really difficult. I mean, here in the UK, we have the whipping system. So effectively, your MPs are told how to vote, but along party lines, effectively. And one of the things you always hear, and I'm hearing it at the moment with regards to the Tories, is, well, look at their voting record. Yeah, but the problem is their voting record, fine, they've voted for some really crap things, but the probability is they were told by the party whip that you have to vote this way, otherwise you have no chance whatsoever of ever becoming a minister. So it's a guide, but it's certainly in the UK, it is not set in stone that is what they actually think. And that works both ways, either far right and more moderate amongst the Conservative Party,
Yeah. I mean, it's even Nancy Pelosi in 2018 said, yeah, the squad has great ideas, but there are only 4 votes. Before I forget, another thing that leads to voter apathy is voter suppression. That's still a big thing too. So if their votes are not going to be counted, why bother? Indigenous people, Black people, so it's a rampant problem. The gerrymandering, so it's just that does also lead to the voter apathy, which is why the less turnouts, and as well as I mean, Tavi, you kind of saw this on Twitter at the 2020 election, where it's just white liberals, once Biden won, went to Black Lives Matter Plaza. and they started taking down Black Lives Matter protest signs because, hey, we won, Biden won, so we don't need to protest anymore.
I don't 100% remember if they were the ones taking down signs, because I know like frequently like Proud Boys would come through and rip stuff.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
But what I do very distinctly remember was an interview with a Black woman. I'm afraid I forget her name because this was back 2020.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
There was a guy I was following who would regularly interview Black protesters down at Black Lives Matter Plaza in DC.
Yeah.
Who she talked about how all these white liberals were showing up with their blankets to set out and their picnic baskets and their bottles of champagne. And she was saying, oh yeah, that popping in the background you hear is white people popping champagne. And how she they all came out to party. None of these people were out here when we were getting beat up by the fucking, Proud Boys and all that shit.
Yeah.
None of what's going on out here tonight, and this was at, the night after Biden's election, has anything the fuck to do with Black lives. They just all want to go, pat themselves on the back and throw.
Well, he is our third Black president.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's calling him that, but they did call Bill Clinton America's first Black president.
I remember that. Yes, I remember that.
Biden for his whole tour where he went around the U.S. to all these things, and he gave this whole speech about how he marched in the civil rights movement, and every credible historian who looked into it found that he was lying through his teeth.
Yeah.
Chuck Moldy, I think
he might have been marching. He was on the other side, though.
Chuck, I think I found on a link to the tweet back in like is it that one? Is the word Chuck Moldy? Is it, no, this is probably, you look at the dates of when it was like posted, is where no, the Chuck Moldy probably the one person that is always like goes to like, he's probably the reporter that you can follow on Twitter that like always
that was the guy I was seeing those interviews who did the interviews, and he got really well trusted because he would just give them a camera and let them talk.
Yeah, exactly. Chuck Moldy also appeared on like Benjamin Dixon shows, so like it or not, and he says like, oh, that's what I just do. Just go to these protests, get the camera, say, hey, what's going on here, and let them talk because like they can like definitely give a lot of insights. And yeah, a lot of the Black Lives Matter protesters were kind of just like, the liberals are all ready to go to brunch.
Well, liberals do love them some goddamn mimosas.
So yeah, another podcast or live stream where we just are talking a lot about like politics. That's usually happens. Well, I invited Mithra on since UK politics and what's happening too. So like that's fair.
Please show us something.
On the
and soon enough, Boris Johnson will be replaced by John Rhys Davies.
Of like voting and voter suppression and stuff. And like the title we've got on the podcast, like, should we vote? There's a lot to be criticized about, voting as a strategy for change.
It's not going to get us where we need to go, but if the neoliberal racist piece of shit had won in 2016 instead of the open fascist, the ruling we had this last couple of weeks, it wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have the howler monkeys on the Supreme Court.
I honestly, it would probably be harder for Mitch McConnell if he still controlled the Senate after 2016 to just block votes and like not hold votes as well. I
wouldn't put it past him to try it.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But go ahead, Tabby.
When you look at things like the Black community movements in Georgia and Mississippi, etc., you look at like the Navajo Nation, they do vote, and all these different marginalized communities that face a lot of voter suppression, fighting for voting rights today. If you have the ability to easily vote and you're able to, do your research, actually like figure out like what are these different people doing. If it's just completely shitty people either way, maybe just like fuck that. Vote what you know.
We can at least do harm reduction.
I'm not even sure about harm reduction.
Or that is to say, doing less harm, not
right,
not curing it. But pull the knife out 3 inches.
Yeah. it would feel like a big insult to all these marginalized groups that are fighting for their voting rights to be all like, oh, we're just not going to vote because we don't think it means anything. Because
as the saying goes, if voting made a difference, they'd make it illegal.
Right.
What do you think the Republicans are trying to do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not going to get us to fully automated luxury gay space communism. But.
Right. And then also on like the minor elections, one of the things I would point out as like a local thing down here, one of the people that we have down here who's got signs up all around the roads, he is running for superintendent of schools, and he is running on the platform of, quote, defeat critical race theory.
Oh, God.
Mm.
Moron.
We know they don't actually know what critical race theory as a larger body is. It's a college level.
Yeah.
It's
but we also know that
generally,
the dog was
not even like college level. Usually it's like graduate or law school.
Yeah.
Like
it's a legal theory.
It's past bachelor's level of a college level.
Yeah. But given that they are ignorant about what the term actually means, we know what they're dog whistling is that they don't want young people in public schools to be taught about the true history of slavery, the true history of racism, the true history of Jim Crow, the true history of...
They don't want them to be taught the truth about
suppression of indigenous people, the true history of everything we've ever done to Mexican people on the border.
Correction, genocide of indigenous people. We attempted to kill them all.
I want to say it was Tennessee that what do you call it? The Education Bureau or whatever actually was thankfully able to put a stop to it, but there was an organization that was trying to get new textbooks that used the term forced relocation as opposed to slavery.
Yeah. That hasn't,
to try to equate owning people to the Tennessee Valley Authority thing that they disagree with because it happened to be a Roosevelt that was doing it.
And it inconvenienced white people.
And what I was going to say about like elections like that, I mean, yeah, it's a minor local election. If appointees get into positions like that can do things like mandate school policy in your local community, that will affect like several years and a generation of young minds that will have not come out of the public school systems with, okay, the public school systems are already terrible at providing that knowledge.
Yeah.
If it was made even worse, it becomes even harder to
You
put
get
forward
people
the
like my
education.
family who went to actual segregated public schools.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of problems with voting, but that's kind of my pitch to, if you're able to do it, go ahead, do it.
Yeah. So yeah. Yep.
It's gym time. So let's see. Joe is drunk at a Ren Fair.
No fair.
I think this talk has done a great deal to sober me up. We will find out how much when I have to stand up.
And Mithril is probably drunk in the rain. I'm guessing.
All right, there is in the dark. Thank you for coming by and stopping by. And no problem for the rambling. We all ramble with us. And Ellie, what are you going to be up to the rest of the night?
Painting's coming along well.
No, it's the same stage as it was before. I haven't worked on it in a long time.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but my cat hit 500 followers there.
Oh yeah, it's your cat Twitter. That's right. I gotta remember what it is.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's good. And then I will, I don't know, maybe clean up a bit or something.
Yeah, I'm going to go into work today to do another 5 hours at least or something like that, and figure out which day of the week I'm going to sleep in. Did a little bit of that this morning to catch up on that because I do need to do that, and Summer Geek on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. I will Twitter. I at least have post things, and so you can see me there. Because funny enough, I kind of Tavi, I showed your comment of the Dems are act like they're running a protection rack, telling people to give them what they want, or else bad stuff will happen, and then do shit all about doing that. Someone replied to that. Your friend is wrong. That's not accurate to their platform. It's the sort of statement that gives leftists a reputation of being entitled, ignorant, ineffective, and whiny. This is supposedly an anarchist that said that too. Or is it identified anarchist? I'll leave it at that. I'm not name names.
I'm not going on Twitter, but you want me to give them a reply?
This was in the YouTube comments, as it were.
Oh.
If you want to, I can send you the comment word on the video as well, so you can watch the live stream if you want. So,
okay, that's where they. Okay, so the disabled autistic trans girl who's struggling with money, who's only has a safe place to live because she's lucky enough to have a good friend who's willing to give her a room at a low rate, which we can just kind of negotiate between us as friends, is entitled.
What's weird is I know you're talking about yourself, but that is an exact description of 3 other people I know.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the Disability Pride Month this month. July is Disability Pride Month, so Pride is continuing for disabled people. So
fuck Pride too, Wrath.
No, cancel Pride. We're having Wrath instead.
Yes,
at least
we are.
I say we should cancel Pride, just have Wrath.
Yes.
Yeah, I need more Wrath.
Or at very least, Lust and Gluttony.
Okay, some of them have lust because some of them have lust all year round. Not everyone is lust, and that's totally fine too. But for a lot of people, a lot of disabled people too, it's just sloth because human bodies are terrible to some people, as it were, and needs to be repaired or replaced as possible. And you know what, Tavi? I would just bring this up because Facebook reminded me 2 years ago we raised $1,700 for the Transgender Legal Defense and Educational Fund.
That was the first fundraiser that I helped organize, and the first one, that was when you started streaming on Twitch, Jonathan.
So that was my 3rd and 4th stream ever on Twitch. So being part of that charity weekend as well. And it was quite successful. But John, I don't know when we're going to do that again because I don't know when I'm going to be streaming again. But yes.
I haven't touched Twitch in a while because it's just been a fucking hellhole.
Oh yes, stories we have. But anyway, John Brockman, you're part of another podcast, aren't you?
Indeed, I am. Dungeons and Debacles. We are fighting an evil red dragon cult, and we haven't recorded in over a month because of scheduling snafus. But very different from this. Heck of a lot of fun. And I now have to go to the gym before it closes. So I will see everyone around. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Check the links up page and practice self-care.